Hey there, happy Sunday there, it's me, Curiosity Trader. Hopefully you're having a great trading month. I'm just going to do a quick recap of the overall markets, of things that are going on. Hopefully you're doing well. I've been kind of like not doing as much videos lately. As I always say, whenever there's kind of a pullback in the markets, there's no really need to force things. That said, that's not saying that there's no opportunity. There always is, Trading is like a business, but you always want to keep an open mind, As I mentioned, that the best time to go trade is whenever we're in a solid uptrend, And right now we're kind of in this little pullback, And I want to say this one more time, okay? These are healthy. They're healthy for long-term corrections. And most of the time, most of the big money is made after the bottom set in, but no one really knows when that is, and you don't have to know when that is. And it's very important to filter out the noise, just focus on your setups, focus on your playbook trades. And right now, given the market, sometimes those trades that would work well in the bull market are not going to work well right now because of what we're in. As I mentioned, whenever these moving averages are declining, you're fighting an uphill battle in a sense. So that's not saying you can't trade. Yes, it's just the odds are going to be on the low end, in my opinion. Okay, but of course, everyone's been talking about oil. Oil has been going beautifully, considering with the geopolitical stuff happening in Iran. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what's going on. I don't. I'm just a trader. I trade momentum. So that's what you want to do. Focus on price action. That's really all that matters at the end of the day is price. It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, we're in a war, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what's going to happen. I don't know. You don't have to know. Just trade price action, And of course, as I mentioned, I've been doing this for quite a while. And this happened whenever Russia invaded Ukraine, happened then with oil. So human nature never changes, okay? It's the same thing happening over and over again. Just different nuances over the course of the years. As I mentioned with weed, with Bitcoin, with COVID, and with these oil again and again, And it's just, it's like the peak euphoria, in a sense. And one thing I talk about in the sector, these stocks can go a lot higher than you think. So just remember that, okay? But overall, this week was kind of an okay week. Let's see here. Here we are. About $5,000, give or take. And here's one thing I want to tell you, okay? Making wealth in this business is not about being right all the time. It's about being right big and minimizing your losses. I lose most of the time, okay? I just started doing this trading and tracking my trades. I've done it before, but nothing this detailed, okay? But I lose a lot. But the key thing is maximizing those gains. I'm trying to keep them on the small end here, But look at this, taking how many losses in a row here? About more than 14 losses in a row. But look how they're small, Obviously, I'm trying to eliminate losses like this, 4,000. That's not good. And all these thousands, no, they're getting out of my risk parameter. But these 800, 600, 100, that's fine. Those are paper cuts because I know when I nail it, it's going to be on the big side, And that's very important. You always want to widen the lens to say, that don't try to go for home runs, and we'll see how this goes, But that's my advice to you: is think in series of trades. Don't try to be 100% right all of the time because you're not going to be. And in the market we're in right now, that's not really going to favor you, But I'm just going to go over some stocks. Again, oil plays I'm watching for next week. We'll likely gap up. This is a classic dead cat bounce type pattern, so we'll see how this goes. This is one of the most favorable shorting opportunities in the market, this pattern, because you have a defined risk. You're not 119. So in theory, if this gaps up, you short risking that resistance. But I wouldn't want to short a hot sector. I'm just telling you this is a profitable day trading pattern. But over there, it's getting intense. So I'm watching for a gap. Again, all the oil stocks I have in my watch list are based off the futures. If it gaps up, I have an idea of what it's going to do the next day. That's what you have to do, is keep an open mindset and things like that. And as a trader, as I mentioned, 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market. So I've been kind of taking it easy lately. It's about to be spring break. I've been enjoying my life, going to the river, and sometimes that's what you need. You need a hobby. Find a hobby to keep you distracted. I'm not saying like don't look at the markets. I do, but like if I don't see nothing within the first 20 minutes to say, even when I wake up and see the gappers, I just go away because smart money often comes out of the open. So if I don't see nothing coming out of the open, then I'm just gonna go away. And again, trading should be boring. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I don't know who you are, but you shouldn't be eager to trade. I'm not saying you want to love what you do, but like, if you're looking for a trade, then you're often on the wrong path. The good trades come to you in a sense. Okay, so let's just go over some. Enor was one I got long pretty well. Again, a lot of these are very choppy. These are oil plays. I pretty much got long. I should be in this swing, but I've been day trading these more. I just don't trust them, quite frankly. But it's a classic opening range high play we always talk about on the daily chart. You want them to make a big move and pull back and build these ranges. And this one offered it numerous times, numerous times. You want to wait for that sideways action. Then this thing moving gaps, so you want to get opening range highs. And that's pretty much what happened. I got over $1. Again, I kind of like didn't trade this one that well, but the pattern's there nevertheless. You want to see that sideways action because that's showing you it has strength. Okay, stocks move in stairs. Remember that. They don't go straight up. Stocks move in stairs, and the strongest ones will base for weeks, days, whatever. And I saw this again. Think of it as this one I always think in terms of like human nature, because the dollar level, how it rejected double top on Monday, 2 days of sideways. Then on Thursday we had that test of high day, and that's where I pretty much got long. I didn't buy it at this high day break. No, I bought opening range highs at $1 pretty much, and it was a good trade. This was a day trade pretty much. I sold right up here. And in hindsight, I got long again after hours right here. Because, yes, hindsight, this should have been a swing trade. It was, but not from my core average from about 105. I sold most of my first position up in this rally here. And we made pretty much a nice flag and into the after hours. And I pretty much got long, I think at 130 for a swing trade over Friday. And I pretty much sold pre-market. That was probably the best trade of the week on that one. But I mean, keep these on a watch list, and here's one thing as I go over these, like in a couple years, most of these stocks will be back at zero. That's how the market works. And I want to tell you, most often it's the shittiest companies that make the biggest moves. That's really sorry about that. As I was saying, most of the time, it's the shit companies that run. That's how it's always been. That's how it's going to be in the future, and nothing's going to change. And it's just your job to take advantage of the market. And whenever we have a hot sector like we're in right now, and I'm not saying we're going to go like into depression, but you'll know when it's time for a momentum shift. The setups will reappear. I've been noticing like some setups which I take have not been working, and that's fine. You just adapt, But Enor is what I'm watching still for next week. Ideally, let it set up. I'm gonna let it base, let it do its thing. One I'm for sure watching is BATL. That is what I'm watching here. 5-star. I completely missed the butcher this on this play down here. I was on it, but I didn't trade it. I traded numerous times, and it's been a great ticker for me. Probably my largest trade one this month. But I'm watching it. See how it's in a range now. It's in a range, so Likely if it goes sub 18, yeah, it's gonna fade. But I'm watching it. If it does base over 24, 22, we could have a potential a rally, so we'll see. And on that one, some other ones I'm watching is TPET, same type of scenario here. Look how it's building the ranges over 190, as long as it holds 140. It's kind of like a flag pattern. So that's that one here. Detail went over. Turb, same type of scenario here. Serving the moving averages very nicely, 10-day. So I'm watching it in a nice range, over $5. We'll see how that one goes. All of these are on a backlist play. I have in my mind, alerts in my mind, like price ranges where if it hits that area, then it's going to be a potential long. Okay. MOBX kind of didn't work out. Like, this is one example what I was talking about. Like, this is a classic setup I took, and I pretty much lost. It was a net loss, but this is something I would do over and over again. Classic opening range high breakout, and it simply failed. I tried to get long in 120 and it failed. No big deal. USO oil, I'm watching if it gaps over 125, have potential play. I'm thinking of all these ETFs, well, the futures, like the silver futures ETF. When they had that massive below off top of move. This is what I'm saying. These can go a lot higher than what people think. Because remember, I was saying right here, it looked toppy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was saying right here it looks toppy. But watch out, and look what happened. It went on to another freaking rally, So you have to let these things extend and let them do what it wants to do at the end of the day, okay? But that's really all I'm watching, There's some more, but I'm not gonna waste your time. It's a freaking Sunday. I'm about to go to the river. But just remember, stay safe. I'm watching BATL. I'm watching TPET. I'm watching Turb. I'm watching EDSA. I'm watching. IEDO kind of failed, but all this is dependent on what the futures do when they open up today. All right, but happy trading and stay safe, and I'll see you next time.